I was starting to lose my focus.
There's a committee meeting right after the public hearing.
Yeah.
So you're getting ready to 6:15.
If it wasn't for Carl, I would have lost my focus. I just kept looking back there.
Yeah, is that?
You're right. Good evening. It is Monday, February 6, 2023. I'm Mayor Chris Martin, calling to order a public hearing for ordinance 2023-05, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, vacating alleys in the city of Logansport. Timothy J. Howell and Lisa A. Howell. Is there any public comment? Please come to the mic, state your name and address for us.
Good evening, my name is Jim Brew, my residence in Logansport, 204 First Street, and my client Tim and his wife Lisa Howell. Are the petitioners? Yeah. Practical people make practical adaptation. They filed a petition with the city council here for the vacation of a couple of alleys right by their house. They own all the properties around the proposed vacated alleys. There's a short one. I've submitted a plat map that runs between Lobelia and Balsam. That's a short alley, 10 feet wide. They're seeking the vacation of 40 feet of the north-south alley. We've provided you with plat maps. There's your picture. Petition's been filed, which repeats the normal words you see in alley vacation petitions about how the vacation will not hinder the growth or delay development of the neighborhood. And it's not interfering with the public's access to church, school, public building. Insofar as alleys sometimes contain utilities, I've supplied the Clerk Dwayne Olam with consents of all the utilities and affected departments from the city, or proof of notice to give them that information. And otherwise, it's important to know that Tim and his wife own all the lots that are affected, and so they'll begin paying taxes on that. We did appear in this chamber on January the 17th for the meeting of this issue in front of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, chaired by Mr. Nelms. And this is a hearing, so I'm just summarizing Tim's position, and I don't want to take up any more of your time, except to say this ordinance, I think, is well written, and I think it's important to know that this hearing at this moment has been properly advertised, published in the local newspaper on, well, more than 10 days in advance. That was in January 26th. Did you think of anything else? That would be the petitioner's comments during this hearing.
You good?
So Tim, you own all the land around the
Yes,
area?
on both
Okay.
sides.
So there's no dispute with neighbors or anything because it's all yours anyway? Okay.
Very good. Any other comments?
I just say, I did speak to Mr. Barnes, he called me. I explained to him what went on at the January 17th meeting. I told him that Tim was going to take the one gate down, which he's done, and that the lot that is his northernmost lot wouldn't be blocked off in the back there. And I see where you've made arrangements there also. I won't say he was happy about it, but he said, okay. I thought he might be here tonight. He's aware of what's going to happen. So,
Very good.
Any other public comments? All right, very good. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks for your attention.
It is now 6:20 PM. We will close the public hearing on ordinance 2023-05.
It's 6:20. We're going to open up the committee meeting on the Logan Sport Utilities. For resolution tonight that we didn't get last month is going to be resolution on the vote for tonight is resolution 2023, resolution of the Common Council of the City of Logansport approving the city stormwater district revenue bond. We talked about this before, and the reason we didn't vote on it the last time, the stormwater board had not approved it yet. So if anybody has any questions, if not, we'll move it forward to a vote for tonight. Anybody? Larry, you have a,
No questions.
Jonathan?
Just to confirm, nothing's changed since we've
No,
talked about it.
nothing.
I have nothing. then.
Jake? All right, I make a motion then to move it forward. Resolution 2023-106 for a vote tonight, which, since it's a resolution, be a one vote. 621, call the Logansport utility, or the Logansport City Council utility meeting to a close.
Hey, Carl, I like your meetings. What was it, 15 words or?
Well, tried to keep it under a minute, like the mayor said, he says, Carl, quit talking so much.
You've done a great job, Chris, you've done a great job.
Thank you, Larry.
Well, I appreciate Carl, because they're all on the clock, right? So we're
They are.
paying them by the hour, so getting them out of here is a good thing, Carl, thank you.
We'll wait till 6:30 for the council meeting.
I had to look, it was been a while back.
Are
for
you
one
feeling
of them.
better?
Yeah. I went to, I went to work. What day was it? Thursday last week? Found out my co-partner had COVID in her family. It's like, great, this is all I need. I didn't get it.
So nasty. So
Raining.
you didn't get it?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Chief, they quit building our truck this week?
I didn't get any pictures. Sure hope not.
I see, you got some momentum there.
I know, didn't. All that build up.
You guys get to check out the training they had out there? They went out and showed me it. And I didn't have time to go.
That's
through it.
usually how it starts.
I didn't have time, so I didn't. Well, they didn't even show me. They just fucking they said it started.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sometimes when we have you hooked up to the oxygen and everything? Yeah. They got eggs and walk around at night.
When you guys went to Anderson or something.
Which one? I was gonna go for it. Like I said, my time got cut short. I got sick. I didn't want to go and be around them and get them sick or anything. So I stayed home. And by the time I got better, it's gone. I was real bummed. But it is what it is. Anyway. I had to go check out the police station. That was cool.
Yeah.
Looks a lot different than the first tour in years. We can have it. Won't take too long. It's pretty cool. Got to see some of the office space they were designing. I don't like the windows. You can't really look out of them now. But I think they're designed. They won't know like use we don't have to make sure. I know we're not a huge city, but I have seen how it's convenient. They have files and stuff there it's frustrating.
I hope not.
At least for that.
I got up at 3:30 this morning. I had to work. No, I had to be at work early. Doing that, I had one more.
No, the one that just right off.
Yeah, sort of. Sick.
Where's that coming from?
Sometime this month it gets on probation. But
It's
I mean,
6:30 p.m. Monday, February 6, 2023. I'm Mayor Chris Martin, calling to order the regular session of the Logansport Common Council. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Amy Densmore,
Present.
Larry Hood,
Present.
Jonathan Nelms,
Present.
Jacob Don,
Present.
Scott Petey, absent. Carl McPherson,
Here.
Dave Morris.
Present.
All right, we'll start with the approval of minutes for the regular session's January 9th, 2023 meeting.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Amy Densmore,
Yes.
Larry Hood,
Yes.
Jonathan Nelms,
Yes.
Jacob Don,
Yes.
Carl McPherson,
Yes.
Dave Morris.
Yes.
All right, and we'll move on to the approval of minutes for the special called session for January 23rd, 2023.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Jonathan Nelms,
Yes.
Jacob Don,
Yes.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Carl McPherson,
Yes.
Amy Densmore.
Yes.
Larry Hood.
Abstain.
All right, reports from committees, boards, and commissions.
Mayor Martin, we had a utility council meeting tonight discussing resolution 2023 about the issuance of the city stormwater district revenue bonds and pass it on to for a vote tonight. That was it.
Any other reports from committees, boards, and commissions? All right, moving on to old business, ordinance 2022-51, Councilman Nelms.
Ordinance 2022-51, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, approving an additional appropriation from the general fund for the payment of IRS penalties and interest. Mr. Mayor, I ask for a vote on ordinance 2022-51 on its second reading.
Yeah, I want to table this one again. Just to give you an update on this one, we got a reply today from our council on the IRS issue, and they're still looking at a 4-month window before they'll make a final determination as to what they want to do. Yes, maybe
Yeah.
4 months.
Exactly.
So we could be out looking at that far along, so.
Make a motion to table.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Amy Densmore,
Yes.
Carl McPherson.
Yes.
Jacob Don,
Yes.
Larry Hood,
Yes.
Jonathan Nelms,
Yes.
Dave Morris.
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-51 is tabled. New business, resolution 2023-105, Councilman Hood.
Resolution 2023-105 is a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, endorsing and urging passage of Indiana legislation establishing driving privilege cards for undocumented Indiana residents. Mayor Martin, I ask for a vote on resolution number 2023-105.
I second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Jonathan Helms,
Yes.
Jake Leon,
Yes.
Amy Dinsmore,
Yes.
Larry Hood,
No.
Carl McPherson,
Yes.
Dave Morris.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-105 passes. Resolution 2023-106, Counselor Dinsmore.
Resolution 2023-106, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, approving the issuance of the city's stormwater district revenue bonds and the execution thereof. I'd like to move Resolution 2023-106 forward for a vote.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Amy Dinsmore,
Yes.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Jonathan Helms,
Yes.
Jake Leon,
Yes.
Larry Hood,
Yes.
Carl McPherson.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-106 passes. Ordinance 2023-01, Councilman McPherson.
Ordinance 2023-01, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, approving an appropriation from the Lit Fund number 2240 for the furnishing and supplies for the new police station at 729 High Street. I'd like to move this forward for the first reading.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Carl McPherson,
Yes.
Jake Leon,
Yes.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Jonathan Helms,
Yes.
Amy Dinsmore,
Yes.
Larry Hood.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-01 passes on its first reading. Ordinance 2023-02, Councilman Morris.
Ordinance 2023-02, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, amending ordinance 2013-23 regarding vacant properties. I'd move this forward for first reading.
I second.
Any further discussion?
No.
When did we talk about this?
The last
many
time
times.
was
At the planning meeting.
January 17th, I believe, was the last time when we moved it forward.
Okay.
This is one we've talked about quite a bit over the last year and a half. And we left it lined out just so people know what the changes actually were in there.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Jake Leon,
Yes.
Carl McPherson.
Yes.
Amy Dinsmore,
No.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Jonathan Helms,
Yes.
Larry Hood.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-02 passes on its first reading. Ordinance 2023-03, Councilman Ladon.
Ordinance 2023-03, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, establishing a responsible bidding practices and submission requirements for submitting bids to perform construction work on public works projects. I ask for vote on ordinance 2023-03.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to make just a couple of comments on this. This is another one, this responsible bidding ordinance we've kicked around for a long time. We met on it numerous times. I met individually with Dutch and Fincher and Matt Llewellyn, and we came to a compromise, and I think it's a good compromise because I don't think either one of them is really happy with it. They both made concessions. And quite honestly, what it amounts to is it just emphasizes Indiana code, basically following Indiana code for responsible bidders. There's nothing in here that's burdensome to either party as far as that goes. And honestly, I think this would protect the city more with out-of-town bidders than it would with our local people. We know our local people, but on a big project, it's not unforeseen that somebody from out of town might bid on it. And this gives us the right to get the right information from them before we accept a bid from them. So I'd like to see this passed.
Any further discussion? Okay, call for question.
Amy Dinsmore,
Yes.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Carl McPherson,
Yes.
Larry Hood,
Yes.
Jonathan Nelms,
Yes.
Jake Ladon.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-03 passes on its first reading. Ordinance 2023-04, Councilman Morris.
Want me to read all that?
Yeah. Got to keep you awake.
All right, there you go. Ordinance 2023-04. An ordinance authorizing the acquisition, construction, and installation of certain improvements for the waterworks system of the city of Logansport, Indiana. The issuance of revenue bonds to provide the cost thereof, the collection, segregation, and distribution of the revenues of such system, the safeguarding of the interests of the owners of such revenue bonds, and other matters connected therewith, including the issuance of notes in anticipation of such bonds and repealing ordinances inconsistent herewith. I'd move this forward for the first reading.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Jake, did you second that? Okay.
Call for question.
I'd like to ask that we approve this and then consider having a special meeting 1 week from today on February 13th to do the second reading, if we're not going to suspend rules and do both readings today. And the reason I ask that is we have to submit our paperwork by February 15th to the SRF to secure our loan at the interest rate that they've allotted, plus to secure the Superfund site money that they've offered us. We want to close on this on March 15th. And the best way for us to do that is to have our documentation done. If we have special session on February 13th, that'll give the folks that we invited earlier today to answer questions, our attorneys and consultants, they can submit their paperwork by February 15th, which will be in time for the SRF closing on March 15th.
So do we vote on this first and then make it a motion, or how do we put this into the minutes that we'd like to recommend a February 13th special meeting to vote on the second reading of this?
I don't think we have to make a recommendation on that. I think we just call the special meeting.
All right, but I'd like to put it in the notes to be sure that we do, so.
It's in the minutes, I think.
Okay.
I think.
Okay, that we'll have okay, that's fine. No other comment?
Okay, call for question.
Carl McPherson,
Yes.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Jake Ladon,
Yes.
Jonathan Nelms,
Yes.
Larry Hood,
Yes.
Amy Dinsmore.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-04 passes on its first reading. Ordinance 2023-05, Councilman Nelms.
Ordinance 2023-05, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, vacating alleys in the City of Logansport. Mr. Mayor, I ask for a vote on ordinance 2023-05 on its first reading.
I second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Hang on,
Nope.
this last one was
It wasn't
40 pages.
Yeah, exactly.
That's because he had an attorney.
Amy Dinsmore,
Yes.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Larry Hood,
Yes.
Jake Ledon,
Yes.
Jonathan Nelms,
Yes.
Carl McPherson.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-05 passes on its first reading. Ordinance 2023-06. Counselor Dinsmore.
Ordinance 2023-06, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport allowing utility task vehicles usage on the streets. I'd like to move ordinance 2023-06 forward for vote.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Other than I'd like to hear from the chief on this.
Okay, sure.
Good evening. I would like, I talked to Mr. Jones today for a couple hours. I would like to see this tabled for at least till the next council meeting. I went through it, there's a lot of things missing as far as an ordinance goes. We discussed it today, so I guess if the ordinance is going to get through, I don't know if it would be passed tonight or not, or if it would get passed at all, but if it does, there's some things in there I'd like to be added to. I spoke to Casey about them. They are going to go back and revise it. One was just the age limits of passengers, that's not in here. One is the times of operation, one is being in the downtown area. So there's a couple things in here that needed to be refined. One is where does the fines go to? How that is paid out? So after speaking with him, I told him those are a few of the things that after reading through it, that I'd like to see. There's one other city that I wanted to speak to as well prior to this, and I'll fill you in on that, Dave, later. But there's just some things missing out of it. So again, I don't know how it was going to go tonight, but I'd rather have this tabled in case it did get passed. I wanted to see a few things that would be added to this for the overall safety aspect of it as well.
Any further discussion?
I guess my vote's probably not going to change, just to be quite honest. I have some safety concerns of my own, and representing the constituents that I am serving, none of them are in favor of moving this forward, so my vote's going to remain a no, even if amended. So I'd rather just vote on it tonight if possible.
Likewise. I'd just rather have the vote and get it out of the way, because I'm pretty sure I know how it's gonna go.
So we got a first and a second, so are we gonna vote on it then, or are we gonna table it?
Was the motion to table or just?
No, the motion was to move it forward for a vote, but then after the chief talked, he came along and said, he'd like to table it for a month.
I would just like, again, I don't know how that was going to go. I know we've had conversations amongst each other. Again, when we look at this, I just want to make sure for who wrote this, that it was fair to them, that there was a few things added in there, because if it did happen to get passed, I didn't want to have to come back and add, no passengers under 8 years old be in the vehicle, or, no driving in the downtown area from midnight to 6 a.m., or whatever it may be, some of the things that we had spoken about. That's all. If it doesn't get tabled, it's not, it's going to be more so on Mr. Jones and Mr. Jameson.
Well, let
than it
me
is
ask you this, Travis, if we tabled this for a month and you wrote in the things that you want to have considered, where's the police force on this ordinance? Is it something you guys support or not? I mean, because it's easy for me to vote yes or no, because I don't have to enforce it.
Sure, and I can't speak for all 42 officers at this point, obviously, Mr. Morris. So it's just like I spoke to you about it and I spoke to them about it. I don't write laws, we enforce them. And as long as the enforcement was there, that we were able to enforce that without having, being restrained from doing those things. If it was passed, we enforced it, and there was enforceable measures in there, then it got passed. And we would do our best to make sure that those are enforced. I don't want to get into the safety aspect of it, because then we could argue bike lanes, mopeds, motorcycles, those type of things, because that's a state level that we're looking at. And this is exactly what I told Mr. Jones today. If it got passed, we would do our best to enforce it. If it doesn't get passed, then I don't have to worry about it. So that was my stance on this. I'm not in favor of golf carts, and I'm glad that was not brought up here, and I know this isn't golf carts. But there was a couple things in here, like I said, I looked at and I wanted added if we were going to present it the right way, that's all. So if it doesn't get tabled, it's more so on them than it is on myself.
I make a motion then to table up on the recommendation of the Logansport Chief of Police till the next city council meeting. I get a second?
I got just one question for Travis. You've been around town for quite a while.
Yes.
You've seen different ordinances come up or whatever. I want to give these guys the benefit of the doubt based on your opinion.
Sure.
You are the chief. I value your opinion. What kind of issues do you see if everything got put the way you want it? Well, people with actual golf carts, I mean, there again, you guys are looking to do it the right way. And I hate to penalize somebody that's wanting to do it the right way. But Travis has been around, whether it's chief or patrol, whatever, to know, what is your feelings on it, Travis, and how far out of hand do you think it would?
I can't speculate on how far out of hand it would go. I think it opens the doors, and I believe I said this the last meeting, opens up the doors for, snowmobile in the wintertime, or, golf carts, or the four-wheelers, or different things, because, again, if you let one, you kind of have to accept them all. I also see Mr. Jones' side, when you look at these, they are similar to vehicles in nature. I always say the biggest thing is when you start looking at fines and penalties for violations, and there's some ordinances now, and Mr. Lehman's been in those meetings with us, as the enforcement side of it, and how do we enforce it correctly in order to make sure that these violations stop, or we get our money from the violations, right? They have it as a $100 first fine, $250, $500, and $1,000. And that's all done within a city ordinance and not a county courts as well. So sometimes it makes it a little difficult for those fines and penalties to stick. So that's, if I was going to look at it from that aspect, city court always helps, because then you have that court proceeding, Mr. Hood. Obviously, we can enforce state statutes and write them speeding tickets or whatever the case may be, just like we could a motor vehicle. One of my other issues is that they're not backed by the BMV. They are, correct me if I'm wrong, because you had to do it with the DNR. You have to go through the DNR and a process there. One city, which I just found out about today, does collect a city fee as well for the endorsement of them. And I didn't realize that. I think in the email I sent you, Dave, was I talked to 11 cities right around our size, and they were 5 no's, 5 yeses, and one. Those 5 yeses were golf carts, and one was for the ATV style vehicle. So, and I'm not for golf carts at all, because they're slow moving. If that answers your question, Mr. Hood.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
So Carl, what were you guys talking about? You talking about tabling that day for?
Table it until the chief comes back and says, hey, I can support this, and he says that I can't support it, then I'll vote no.
I'm good with tabling it for now.
Yeah. He's the expert.
So Carl motioned.
Yeah, are you seconding?
Motion,
Larry?
Dave second, table.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? Call for question.
Jacob Don? Yes. Amy Densmore?
No.
Dave Morris? Yes. Carl McPherson?
Yes.
Larry Hood?
Yes.
Jonathan Nels?
No.
Ordinance 2023-06 is tabled. Ordinance 2023-07. Councilman Zahn.
Ordinance 2023-07, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, revoking ordinance 2021-50 in its entirety and approving a new Logansport City Employee Handbook. I ask for a vote on ordinance 2023-07.
I second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I want to point out, in your packets, there was a paragraph that was left out under the sick leave and the payout per bank, and it's up there now. I think it's in the ordinance as it's written now. The That was one that was not sent out, so that, and basically it's, the middle of it was added to say that the eligibility is for immediate family for 10 days of sick pay.
Any further discussion? Call for question?
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Jake Ladon,
Yes.
Jonathan Nelms,
Yes.
Carl McPherson.
Yes.
Amy Dinsmore,
Yes.
Larry Hood.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-07 passes on its first reading. Ordinance 2023-08, Councilman Pearson.
Ordinance 2023-08, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana establishes an additional home rule fund required for the operation of the City of Logansport, Indiana. Mayor, I'd like to move this forward for the first reading.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Getting there. It's 100 pages.
Thank you, Marlon, for putting that together. All right. Call for question.
Larry Hood,
Yes.
Jake Ladon,
Yes.
Jonathan Nelms,
Yes.
Carl McPherson,
Yes.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Amy Dinsmore.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-08 passes on its first reading. Any public comments? Anyone in the audience who'd like to make a comment, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for us. All right. Seeing none, council member comments? None? No one?
Nope, Mayor. not gonna-
Wow, okay, that's a first.
I love the guy who did the right of you. He's a good boy.
We're starting off the year well. Miscellaneous business and any matters not already considered, including ADA Section 504 compliance or concerns.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Call for question.
Jonathan Nelms,
Yes.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Carl McPherson,
Yes.
Jake Ladon,
Yes.
Amy Dinsmore,
Yes.
Larry Hood.
Yes.
We are adjourned. Have a great night.
Yeah, I'll be here.